There are hidden meanings and political references all over Squid Game. The show highlights economic differences in South Korea and even inspired a massive union strike across the country. But how did a show that criticizes capitalism at every turn become a monster moneymaker? We decoded the cryptic messages of the biggest series on Netflix. This colorful staircase was inspired by a print from Dutch surrealist M.C. Escher. The original work is called Relativity and represents a space where the rules of gravity don't exist. That can be compared to the Squid Game, where the rules of the real world don't apply. The show's two most prominent colors also have hidden meaning. The players wear green, a popular color from the Seymal movement of the 1970s. It was a community program aimed at modernizing rural areas. Pink usually represents fairy tales, but here the guards wear it, defying that stereotype. Yet the walls where the guards live are painted green, the same color as the players' uniforms. The high contrast of pink and green could be seen as two rival teams playing the same game. At first, it seems the guards are in charge, holding guns and carrying out killings. But as the show progresses, it's clear they also have to follow rules to stay alive, like hiding their faces. This could be seen as a metaphor for capitalism. The players represent the working class, and the guards the middle class. And at the end of the day, both groups are pawns. The guards also have ranks. Squares are at the top. They supervise the other guards. Those with triangles are in the middle. They are allowed to carry weapons. Guards with circles clean up dead bodies. They can only speak when they're spoken to. The art director said the hierarchy is based on the number of vertices or edges in each shape. Meanwhile, the one really calling the shots mostly watches the game from the comfort of a private room. Frontman can be seen as a symbol of the upper class, who often make decisions from their corner offices while having little contact with the people on the ground. He also resembles Darth Vader, and just like the Star Wars villain, his power is limited. The real power rests with the VIPs, who represent the uber-wealthy billionaires. They bet on games while enjoying plenty of food and drinks, a representation of the abundance of resources often available to the wealthy. Meanwhile, the players receive little food, are assigned numbers, and forced to sleep in packed bunk beds. Fans on Reddit pointed out these are references to the Holocaust. The director even said these furnaces were modeled after the ones in Auschwitz. And these are the only white American characters on the show, a commentary on colonialism and US influence in Korea. The show's creator, Hong Dong-hyuk, came up with the drama during the 2008 financial crisis. But he didn't think the world was fully ready for Squid Game until Donald Trump was elected. He even says one of the VIPs resembles Trump. The golden masks also show off the power the VIPs have over the players. Some masks resemble predators who sit at the top of the food chain, like the lion and the tiger. These characters have been criticized for playing into harmful homophobic tropes.
You're all mine.
And also for the bad acting.
If you don't do what I say, I will kill you before I leave.
The games themselves are also full of hidden messages. The tug of war could be seen as an allegory of how capitalism encourages the working class to compete for basic things like jobs, housing, and even food. And sometimes they have to rely on pure luck to move ahead and stay alive, like in the glass bridge game. The show even provides a visual metaphor in this scene where the VIP moves chess pieces that represent each player. The most successful players in the Squid Game need to be comfortable defeating and even killing their friends. A reference to how corporate culture can reward people who step on each other as they move up the ladder. In South Korea, the show is inspiring change. Thousands of union workers wore Squid Game outfits at a recent labor protest. They called for job security and a minimum wage hike. Some said that just like the characters on the survival drama, they're struggling to make a living. Now, North Korea is using Squid Game to slam the South, even though it's not available to watch there. A state-run website says the show highlights the beastly nature of South Korean capitalist society, where mankind is annihilated by extreme competition. But the site fails to mention the North Korean defector who's competing for money to bring her mother to the South. Some viewers noticed she actually switched to a North Korean dialect to soothe her brother in this scene.
엄마 아버지 꼭 오실 거다.
The show also has many hidden references to South Korea's past. This doll was inspired by Young-hee, a character from popular 1970s Korean textbooks. She sings the mugunghwa flower has bloomed during the red light, green light game. Mugunghwa or hibiscus is Korea's national flower and is also mentioned in the country's anthem. Experts say it is a symbol of Korean resilience under Japanese colonial rule from 1910 to 1945. An actual version of this doll lives in the Museum of Carriages in Jincheon County, and the Squid Game crew borrowed it during production. The honeycomb candy or dalgona goes back to the 1950s during the Korean War. Parents made it for their children because it was cheaper than American candy that became popular at that time. The players' tracksuits are also a throwback. They look like the field day school uniforms from the 1990s. The show also sneaks in a reference to a standoff between police and workers during a strike at Korean automaker SsangYong Motors. SsangYong means double dragon, and the main character joins the game after he's laid off from a fictional car factory called Dragon Motors. Squid Game became the #1 show on Netflix in over 90 countries in record time. More than 130 million people have watched it. Users all over the world are rushing to learn Korean on language learning apps. Sales for white Vans sneakers, like the ones from the show, have gone up 7,800%. One Korean vendor reported dalgona candy sales up 250%. And restaurants are even attracting guests by offering the honeycomb challenge. All of this is a testament to the show's popularity across the world.